everybody, Stacy here, and welcome to my Graphic 45 2013 Design Team Call second round. I am doing a tutorial on a tag album, and I'm going to use a hidden hinge binding system. The collection that I have chosen to do this with is an old collection, but I really like it. It's Halloween in Wonderland, and so you'll need whatever collection you want to use to do this album. The regular tag album pieces, there's 6 of them in a package. And for the covers, I'm actually using the packaging from some of the staple products that I have. So you'll need 2 of those, one for the front and one for the back. And what I have done before I started doing this album was I took one of the tags out of the packaging and I traced it on a piece of cardstock so that I had a template to trace my pattern paper with. So I went ahead, traced it on a piece of cardstock, cut it out. I then laid it over one of the tags to make sure that it had an even border around it and that I was happy with it. Once I was happy with it, I turned it over and drew the little circle so that I could punch the hole out for when I'm tracing it on my pattern papers for the pages of the album. The hole punch that I used, the size of it, I believe is 5/8 circle punch, and that punches it out perfectly, and it puts it right over the center of the tag. So I have went ahead and prepped all my pieces for my album. On the packaging, I actually used espresso acrylic ink or acrylic paint and painted around the edges of one side on both of them, let it dry, and then I flipped it over and did the other side. And here's the espresso paint dauber. Once that was dried, I went ahead and inked the edges with some walnut stain ink just to make sure that none of the packaging coloring came through them. So I did that first on 2 of the packaging, which are going to be my covers. I also went ahead and inked all of my tags. I used the walnut stain ink on the outside of my tags as well. I did do both sides because you will see the outer side of all of the tags on both sides. So just to kind of save a little time, I went ahead and prepped those. I also went ahead and cut out all of my pattern paper and prepped that as well. I inked it all, and then I actually ran it through my Xyron Creatopia to put adhesive on all the back, just so it would go a little quicker for when I'm showing you how to do this. You actually need to do 14 pieces of pattern paper to do this tag book. So you can go ahead and get that done, ink all your edges, and it makes it a lot quicker. So for the hidden hinge binding system, you need a piece of cardstock, and what I did is I kind of just measured from the tip down on the side of the tag to see what the length was so that I knew how wide to make my hidden hinge. So I went ahead and cut it. It's 8 3/4 inches long and it's 4 1/2 wide. You need to score this on a score pile or something. It makes it a lot easier than on the paper trimmers. But you're going to do your first score mark at a 1/2 inch, and then 3/4 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/2, 3, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 1/2, 5, 5 1/2, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, 7, 7 1/2, 8, and 8 1/4. What you do after you score this, I think it's easier if you go ahead and crease all of your folds on the fold lines. Makes it easier when you're when you're going to adhere it together. So if you want to go ahead and fold on all those lines, once you're done folding, if you fold it in this way, you're going to flip it over and you're going to put your score tape on that first 1/2 inch mark. You're going to skip the next 1/2 inch mark, go down to your next 1/2 inch mark here and put your score tape across there. You'll skip the 1/2 inch mark underneath that. Go down to the next 1/2 inch grouping and put score tape across the first 1/2 inch piece. Skip the second one. Go down to the next one and you do the same all the way down. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull the backing off the score tape. You're going to adhere that 1/2 inch marking to the one that's directly right below it. And this is going to start to make your binding system. So then you can fold that little 1/4 inch mark back. That's going to be between, you're going to have a 1/4 inch mark between all of your hinges so that you have room when you're flipping your tag book open so that you can put embellishments in there, and that way the bulkiness of your tag album will be fine because you'll have that 1/2 inch mark between each page. So you just continue on down that way. So you remove the tape. You're going to adhere that 1/2 inch mark directly to the 1/2 inch one that's underneath it. And then you can fold that 1/2 inch piece back. So then here's your next, or fold that 1/4 inch piece back. Your next 1/2 inch mark, you go ahead and just adhere it down to the one below it. Fold that 1/4 inch mark back, and you continue to do this all the way down. When you're done, you will have 6 hinges, and you'll have a 1/4 inch gap between each hinge. Now when I do these, I like to trim the edges of the hinge off so that way the paper doesn't show or the hinge doesn't come straight up. Sometimes, depending on what type of an album you're doing, it'll make it hard for you to slip things on the hidden hinge. So just go ahead and kind of miter those corners on both ends. Once you're done with that and you have your hidden hinge system put together, you can flip it over, and I went ahead and put the score tape on there for when I adhere that onto the middle or onto my spine. That way that's done. So go ahead and put score tape on that, set that aside, and we will work on actually putting the cover together next. For the covers, I took a piece of pattern paper, and the pattern paper is 5 3/4 by 5. You need to cut a piece of chipboard. Any kind of chipboard will do. This is going to be the spine of your album. And that chipboard piece is going to be 4 1/2 by 1 1/2. What you want to do is put your score tape or red sticky tape on the back of your piece of chipboard. And then you're going to lay it down on a piece of paper, cardstock, and just center it on a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/2 by 5. Once you have that centered on your piece of cardstock, you can go ahead and then adhere that entire thing to your piece of pattern paper that you cut that's 4 3/4 by 5. The 4 3/4 pattern paper is, the 4 3/4 is lengthwise, and then horizontally it's 5 inches wide. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a 1/4 inch piece of score tape on each side of the chipboard. That will help me when I put the covers on, so I have spacing for that. Because your hidden hinge system, you have a 1/4 inch gap on each side, which will allow your book to open and close easier. So I went ahead and put score tape also on the pattern paper that's showing over the 4 1/2 inch mark. because I'm going to fold that over so that none of the top of my chipboard shows. So you can just go ahead and kind of rock it back and forth and adhere that down on both ends. Okay, so now we're going to put the actual spine together on the front cover and the back cover. You're going to take your piece of paper with your chipboard spine, flip it over, and you want to do maybe 4 strips of 1/4 inch score tape along each side. And then you can peel off the tape. And I'm going to do this. I've got keyholes, so I want to make sure that my keyholes are going the right way with my tag. And you're just going to center the tag on the paper there. And then push that down. And you'll do the same thing for the other side. So go ahead and center this tag and push those down. And so now you'll see that that 1/4 inch spot is right there on the fold lines for where the edge of the tag is. Now to put your spine on, you're going to peel all your score tape off of the back of that. And then you're just going to center this on the spine of your book. On the inside, not the outside. This is going to be the outside of your book, so you want to make sure that you do it on the inside. And like I said, your spine, your hinges from hinge to hinge should just fit directly right on this piece of chipboard that you cut. That 1/4 inch on each side should line up with the 1/4 inch tape that you laid down there for your spacing. So once you adhere that down, you just want to kind of move each hinge and rub your finger there to make sure that it's adhered very well. And now you're ready to actually put your pages on the hinge system. So we'll start with the outside of the book, which is going to be your front cover and back cover. And like I said, I've already inked these and ran them through my Creatopia to put the adhesive on there, so it would make it a little easier for me. So then you're just going to center that on your page. I did my covers with the same pattern paper rather than doing one different on the front and one different on the back. Okay, so the front and back cover have the paper on the outside. Now we're going to go ahead and do the inside front cover, and you'll see it's going to cover up this paper and the edge of the hidden hinge system. I've never done this on a tag before, so I'm anxious to see how this is going to turn out. And then the inside of the back cover. Okay. I think it's looking good so far. So On all your hinges, you want to put score tape on each side of the hinge. And I would do maybe just the middle part of the hinge on both sides. So I do it all going the same direction the first go around, and then I'll flip it around and do the back sides of them. And now I'll do the opposite side. What I'm going to do when I get done doing this is, because I didn't want to adhere the tags together, I didn't want to lose that one side of each tag. That's why I'm doing it this way, and I have my pattern paper prepped. So what I'm going to do is remove the strip of paper off of the score tape. When you adhere your tag to this, you want to make sure that you don't butt it right up next to that crease where you folded, because it'll make your pages hard to turn. Go up slightly from that crease. That way your pages will turn nicely. And you just adhere the tag there. So that's going to be the front part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and just adhere all of the tags right now to the front side of every hinge. I try and make it so that they're all even. And then I flip them over and just make sure that I push them down really good so that they adhere nicely. Last tag that I traced as my template, I forgot to ink the edges of that, so I'm just going to ink those up real quick. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to cover it with pattern paper. I just wanted that darker walnut stain showing on the outside of these tags. And this is not usually how I ink. I just, since I forgot this one, I'm getting it inked up pretty good here. Okay, so you can adhere that last one. And now you're ready to put your pattern paper on. Okay, so I've already, like I said, run my paper through my Creatopia to make this a little easier. So page here. It's going to go on the front of that first tag. And when you flip it over, you've got that score tape there. And I did that just to make sure that when I put my next piece of paper on there, that it sticks really good on that hinge. So on the back side of that first tag, then you're going to go ahead and place your next piece of pattern paper, which there it hides the hinge and it makes a nice little page. And you're going to continue to do this for all of the pages. Put one on the front of each tag and then flip it over, remove that piece of score tape, and put your next page on. And you're going to go ahead and do this for every page in the book. Okay, so we have all of the pattern paper on all of our tags, and you need 16 pieces of pattern paper in the shape of a tag, not 14 pieces. So your cover, you've got your pattern paper on your cover, both front and back. The spine is nice and done. And then inside, each tag, each side of the tag has the pattern paper on it. They flip nicely. And now it's just time for the fun part, which is decorating each page. I'll probably add some ribbon to my spine, and by doing that I'll just run some score tape along the side of the spine and add some ribbon. I'm not quite sure which ribbon I'm going to use yet. I'll do some fun stuff on the side or on the cover. And like I said, the inside, you can go ahead and make your pages nice and bulky. Pockets, I love pockets in mini albums to stick things in, because you've got that 1/4 inch space between each page. You won't have to worry about the pages being flat. So now let the fun begin. Decorate your book. Okay, so I'm finished with my tag book. The front cover here, I've done a little bit of fussy cutting with some of the flowers that were on one of the pattern papers. Cut out the little girl, which with her broom, pop-dotted them up. I love the way the hand looks coming off the top of the album. I cut that out and popped that up. There was a cute little die cut piece that had a clock on it, so I put it in one of the Tim Holtz pocket watches and added some gears to that. And I did a little painting with the Distress paint, the spiced marmalade on the outside of it to give it a little orangish color. Down here you've got the metal clothespin and the metal brads on the side. On the top of the album I put one of the antique metal door pulls. Really like how that turned out. The side of the album I put orange and black lacy ribbon on the spine, and the back is just blank. I didn't put anything on the back of the album. So as you can see, it's nice and big and chunky, and I love that. That's my favorite type of album to do. So you're going to open up the first page here, and there's a little pocket with one of the die cut pieces. In there are a couple little tags, and then the little playing card with the rabbit on it. I actually glued that down, so that does not come out. This piece here, I used the metal button on top of one of the other metal pieces there. This is actually a hinge. It slides open, and this part here, I actually cut apart one of the packaging pieces. So that's what this is made out of. You flip it open and you can put your photo in there. I put a little doily back there with a little bit of brown ink on it. And you flip that page over, and petaloo flower here with one of the metal brads through it. There's another pocket with one of the playing cards and the tag. And then I put a photo mat in there with a little tab on the top of it so that it makes it easier to pull that out. This page I left, I didn't want to do anything to because I really liked the rabbit and the clock on there, so I didn't want to cover that up. Next side, again, there's another little pocket. This pocket actually is made out of a doily. Popped up this die cut piece, and again put in one of the die cut pieces and another little tag that I cut out of a Sizzix die. This piece here, I used one of the border pieces to make just a small little pocket to put one of the die cut pieces in and one of the tags that I cut out. Added some of the Graphic 45 trim onto that, tied that on there. And then this piece here actually was on the other side of this trim, but I cut it out and pop-dotted it up on this page. There's a little pocket here for a photo mat that slides out behind this pattern paper. This one, there's room here for a photo, and put some petaloo flowers around the corner there. Another little pocket over on this side. I figured in this little bracket you could put the date or the year or who's in the picture. In this pocket there's, I cut the little frog out of the playing cards, another little die cut tag, and a photo mat. Stuck those in there. Tied some, I stained some seam binding and tied that on the tag. This page here, I cut the girl out and then I pop-dotted her up. Also pop-dotted up the hat on top of her head, and only put the pop dots on her around the side and the bottom to make her into a little pocket for the photo mat and the playing card. So that goes into the side here. This page here, I put pattern paper down, a little bit of pattern paper down at an angle on top of the tag. I used this die cut as the pocket. Put one of the metal keyholes there, and then inside this I did a photo mat with a tab on it. Cut out one of the little playing cards. Again, another little tag that I cut out. And then this die cut piece here, I tied one of the metal keys on and slid that in this pocket, so there's lots of little goodies in that one. And then this is the last page. I used the metal hinge here on the side of the pocket. I put in, this time I did a photo mat with just the pattern paper. Cut that out as a photo mat to stick in there. I had a little tag with a seam binding that I dyed brown just to do some journaling on. And then inserted one of the little die cut pieces. So there you have my Hidden Hinge mini album done using the tag album and a couple of the packaging pieces from the Staples collection. Hope you enjoyed my video. Let me know what you think, and if you gave it a shot, I'd love to see it. Thank you, and I will be back later. I have another project that I want to share with you that I did for my original submission. I wanted to share the tags with you because I really loved making the tags using the place and timeline, so look for that one to come soon. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.